Well, the following incident occurred between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4:47 p.m. on the afternoon of Saturday, April 1st, 2017. The preceding recordings are provided courtesy of the NSA.
Hey, I'm on the other line, man. What's up?
Yo, I'm here. I can come on in?
Yeah, dude.
All right, man. See you in a second.
Antoine!
Hey, what's up, Craig? Sarah?
Hey.
Nathan downstairs?
Yeah, he's down there.
No, Mom, I swear, I don't know what's going on with my phone. It won't happen again. Yeah, I love you too, Mom. Sorry about that. Bye. Hey, what's up, dude?
Yo, what's good? So, we doing this podcast?
Yeah, and 1 second. I just gotta call my mom right quick, and then I just gotta wrap up my research.
Call your mom?
Hey, is this Jeremy? Mom? Seriously, I have no idea what's going on. I'm so sorry this keeps happening. I'm just gonna try using somebody else's phone. I know. Love you, Mom. Bye.
What was that all about?
It's a long story. Yo, you mind if I use your phone to call my mom super fast?
Bro, you just got off the phone with your moms. Twice.
I just got off the phone with my mom 99 times. I'm supposed to talk to her 100 times in order to make this code work. It's the last one I've got left to test out.
Wait, are you sure that's not supposed to be in the game? I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be in the game.
Yeah, I get it. I'm pretty sure you're right.
'Cause, you could talk to your mom in the game.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a Skype appointment that starts in less than a minute. We've got this contact, he's an anonymous, and he's supposed to be hooking me up with the address of somebody who can finally help us get to the bottom of this shit.
What shit?
What shit? The topic of today's episode, the PokeGods. Somebody who can put us on the right track to figure out the real deal behind it all.
The real deal? Boy, I could have told you that all of it's bullshit.
That's him. Or her. I don't know. They're an anonymous. And it's 2016. Catch up, Antoine.
It's 2017. You catch up.
Mosbait 6969.
I told you never to call me by that name on this line. That's me Reddit handle. On Skype, you is to refer to me as DigiDestined 2016.
Blasphemy. So what do you got for me, Digidickhead? I don't want another Venustoys code. I want something good.
Oh, I got something good for you, all right. How's about the best bloody monster hunter I knows? And she's a certified Pokemon master to boot.
Go on.
She ain't too keen on conversation, but she knows a thing or two about a thing or two. If anybody can tell you what you want to hear, it's her. I'm texting you the address now.
Thank you, DigiDestined.
I changed my screen name. It's Funtime Foxy now.
Dude, this isn't AIM. Pick a fucking name and stick with it.
Go fuck yourself, you yank bastard.
Bro, I only got a couple hours to record. I don't know if it's really necessary we go visit somebody to tell us what we pretty much already know.
You don't understand. If just one of these codes is real, just one. Do you have any idea what that could mean for the Pokemon fandom?
One of these codes is real. Just one. Missing node. Bam. Mystery solved. Can we please just record the episode?
No. Not until we've explored every angle and turned every leaf, thunder, and mist stone.
There are no mist stones.
Okay, just let me do the talking.
Yeah, I've been on the podcast before. I know the drill.
Ah, not cool, man. If you don't have anything nice to say.
Hey, Antoine. Hey, Nathan.
Craig?
Yeah, you guys just left.
You've got to be kidding me right now.
Ah, damn it. Was he just trolling me?
Was who just trolling you?
Mazfan or Marfan or whatever his name is. He was supposed to connect me with some Pokemon master or some...
Get in. Shut the door. Now.
Whoa,
All right,
yes,
okay,
yes
cool,
ma'am, you
damn,
got it,
all right,
you got it.
I'm coming in.
Why did you come here? Who sent you?
We just left here. I just told you who sent us. Why are we whispering?
I know what you two are after. Bill's secret garden. The Mist Stone. The PokeGods.
I told you yesterday that was what they were recording about this week.
Guys, seriously? Bill's Secret Garden. You still believe in that shit? What's next? You still believe in the democratic process too? Oof. Come on. None of that makes any sense. It's all bullshit. Nobody's cared about Bill's Secret Garden in almost 20 years.
Somebody cares. Crack the blinds, but just a bit. Look outside.
So what am I supposed to be looking at?
That truck across the street, by the school, it's been there for a week.
A week?
It won't move.
Have you tried using strength?
That won't work, that's just a myth. It showed up a week ago? That's when I started researching today's podcast.
That's when you started sticking your nose where it doesn't belong.
Hey, that's not fair. This information belongs to the people.
Nathan, I don't know who's in that truck out there. FBI, CIA, but I'm not trying to fuck with them. I have hacked Pokemon.
You have hacked Pokemon?
Don't you dare judge me, mister. I recorded the first season of Digimon on VHS.
I told you that in confidence.
You need to let this go, Nathan.
We need to go record this episode.
Fuck that. Fuck all of that. This isn't right. This is Nintendo of America. We deserve to know the truth. I'm going over there.
I'm staying right the fuck here.
Dude, come on. This is like investigative journalism and stuff. Don't be like that.
Okay, fine. Fuck it. Let's go over there and harass the people who own the truck.
All right, just be cool.
Just be... That was my idea. Just being cool is the exact opposite of what we are doing.
Hey, you guys.
Oh, mother... Fuck, it's Scumbag Greg.
Scumbag Greg.
You guys want to buy some Magikarps?
Damn it, I used to know this guy. Just act like you don't recognize him.
I don't recognize him.
Then just act like I don't recognize him.
Hey, what's up, man? My name's Scumbag Greg. Nice to meet you.
Wait, that's your actual name? Like, not just something Nathan calls you.
Nathan?
He doesn't recognize you.
Oh, hey, Nate. Long time no see, bro. How's Jeremy?
Scumbag Greg, you're 36. What the hell are you doing hanging out in front of a middle school?
Oh, nothing perverted or anything. Just peddling my wares, my man. You want to buy a Magikarp? Or some nitrous?
Jesus, Greg, how long have you been out here poisoning the youth?
All week, dude. I gotta get paid. These kids are cash machines, bro. Their parents give them the money, so they just spend.
Maybe you know something about that truck parked over there?
Not a thing.
The license plate says MGKRP, numeral 4, $.
You could put a $sign on a license plate?
Okay, you got me. It's my truck. But I know my rights. You can't look inside without a warrant. And since I'm guessing neither of you are police officers...
Then we would have no reservations about shaking you down and taking a look inside that truck. Antoine?
Yeah?
Go ahead. Shake him down. Intimidate him.
I am not shaking anybody down. I came here to record a podcast. This dude's selling drugs to children. Just call the cops.
We have no idea how deep this thing runs. We can't call the cops. We're on our own with this one, Antoine. Fuck this asshole. I'm looking in that truck.
Wait, don't.
What's with all the recording equipment? Have you been monitoring us? Who sent you? Who do you work for?
He's probably recording the kids. I'm calling the cops.
Guys, I swear, this isn't what it looks like.
Then what is it, Scumbag Greg? What is it? Where are the PokeGods, Scumbag Greg? Where are they?
Hello? Syracuse Police Department? Yes. I'd like to report a possible pedophile lurking outside the middle school. Yeah, I'll hold.
What the hell is a PokeGod?
Charcolt? Rainer? Where are they, Scumbag Greg? Where?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Really? No idea. Well, let's see if this jogs your memory. Antoine, start the podcast.
Dude, I don't know how you thought this dynamic was gonna work, but you need to stop ordering me around.
But, dude, not in front of Scumbag Greg. Come on. I'm trying to, come on, man. Just start the podcast. and then at the end of it, we'll see if it's jogged his memory and, like, get to the bottom of this. Come on.
Really? We're doing stuff like this on Silph now, too? Blurry photos don't gotta put up with this kind of shit.
What's a podcast?
Just shut up and listen, scumbag Greg. This is Silph Radio, a Pokemon-centered podcast. I'm your host, Nathan K.
And this is Antoine Baker.
And today on the podcast... Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun today. Let's get this normal preamble out of the way. We're not affiliated with Nintendo, Game Freak, Creatures, Inc., or any other video game company, except, well, I guess, Ninja Gate Studios.
Yeah, I guess that.
Little plug there at the beginning, jumping the gun. This is a Pokemon-centered podcast. We discuss a different aspect of the Pokemon universe in every episode, and it's meant for adults. If the first, 10, 20 minutes of this podcast didn't make that explicitly clear. This is a secretroom.multimedia.com production, and big news before we move forward, www.secretroommultimedia.com is up and running, so go check it out. But let's not waste time talking about that now. We'll talk more at the end about that. Today, this is a topic I've been wanting to do since before I started Silph Radio. I think originally was planning on doing a Fair Point episode about this before I had a Pokemon podcast to do it on.
Oh, wow. It's in the making. It's brewing, people. And now it's come to a boil.
It's come to a boil. Let's start to, we're about to turn the heat down just a little bit. I think the metaphor is falling apart.
Yeah, it is.
Just like this phenomenon did, day by day. Today we're talking about the Game Shark, fake Pokemon codes, and that's right, the legendary PokeGods.
Great memories with all of that. Great memories and stories I have for that.
Oh, so many. I can't wait to hear them.
It's so many stories.
All our younger listeners are either scoffing with incredulity that we want to talk about something that's just such bullshit that they have no frame of reference for, or are just like, PokeGods, what? Like Arceus or Dialga or what? What?
Yeah.
No, let us educate you. In the early days of the internet and Pokemon fandom, with things happening like the appearance of Ho-Oh in the first episode of the anime, the nebulous existence of Mew being common knowledge, and the enigma of Missing No being verifiable, throw into the mix the Game Shark being able to facilitate catching pretty much any type of weird glitchy Pokemon that could have made up names and whatever moves you wanted them to have. An often overlooked aspect to the Pokemon fandom and culture developed, involving all sorts of lengthy fake codes and supposed quote-unquote PokeGods, which were basically just any Pokemon supposedly obtainable in red and blue with a number higher than 150.
Yeah, all the PokeGods were 100% just fucking ridiculous.
I thought you were going to say fake, and I was waiting for you to finish, and I was going to be like, well, not 100%.
Yeah, but for a good majority of them, they were you could tell somebody just made it up, and you're just like, oh, come on, dude, there's no way in the world. What was interesting though was Japan was getting a lot of the Pokemon events where you got special Pokemon, and that we didn't have any of the events here.
Yeah, the Mew was the main one.
Yeah, the Mew was the main one. They had an event every week for it.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was usually I think it was every 3 months they had a special Mew event or something.
That makes more sense too.
So they would always hand out a Mew, because when you actually cheat for Mew, there's an actual sprite for him in the game.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody was just like, how do we get this how do you catch this Pokemon? And then everybody came up with myths.
She was also in the very first couple seconds of the theme song of the anime, which we overlooked somehow as voracious Pokemon fans and enthusiasts. Somehow we would get our grubby paws on any little bit of Pokemon information we could, and we never noticed the 151st Pokemon fly right by the camera at the very beginning, probably until later on when like the first movie started coming out and they were like,
Right.
oh, there's Mew. But
Yeah. And they never really mentioned about Mew ever again because you see it in the beginning and you're like, what's that Pokemon? Oh my God, that looks pretty cool. And then you never see it again. And then the movie comes out where it's Mewtwo, and then you're like, oh, okay, Mewtwo, that's pretty cool. And then you're like, oh my God, it's a clone. Team Rocket's super evil. Oh.
the story starts for me with the computer lab at Shea Middle School, my middle school, and I would go there after school because my parents didn't have a computer at this time, and look up everything I could about Pokemon. And eventually that led to me finding the rumors of these unheard of PokeGods such as Pika-Blue and Mew 3 and Rainer and Doomsday. We're going to get into the individual PokeGods soon. And I would beg the teacher, like, can I print this out, please? And they're like, no, we can't let you print things out. And I'm like, please, I need this. And they're like, I don't understand why do you need this information? Who cares? You don't get it.
You don't get me. Oh, God.
Yeah, and then eventually you get your hands on the Game Shark, and that's when it just starts going off the tracks. When it just starts going off the tracks.
A downhill spiral. It's just... You're going down rabbit holes, and that's just it. Like, you've wasted. I've literally turned like I feel. You know what? I got homework to do. I'm just gonna check this out for an hour, and then that turns into a whole day.
And if you were smart, you'd kind of start figuring out early that a lot of them were fake, because if you do a code with a Game Shark and it gets you this Pokemon that just looks like glitches and there's all these weird things to it that don't make sense, that doesn't seem like something the creators would put into the game in canon, you're like, oh, I think the Game Shark just played me, you know? But then you'd find a Missing No without a Game Shark, and it's named Missing No. Like, that sounds like a Pokemon name. It's not named, or apostrophe M, for example. It's not named that. Or you'd find out about the truck, and then you'd do this whole cheat expecting there to be nothing there, and there's a truck there. For those who don't know what we're talking about, if you don't get cut when you're on the SSN and you progress through the game without ever getting the HM cut, the SSN will never leave, and therefore once you get Surf, you can come back, surf off the dock to the east, and there's a truck just there randomly just sitting there off screen. And the rumor was that you could use strength on the truck and Mew would be there. That didn't work. But I remember specifically being on vacation with my parents. My stepbrother wasn't there with us, and me playing in the hotel room. Finally, after like a week long of doing all this stuff you had to do to try to get to that truck, getting to the truck and being like, expecting it not to be there, expecting it to be another bullshit code, and being like, oh my God, Colin, oh my God. That was me dialing the phone number. The truck is real. Go do it now. But strength won't work. What do I have to do to move this fucking truck, man? And that truck I know that you can't find Mew there. I know it has no purpose, but until the day I die, I will always be haunted by that truck. Why is it there? What?
I think it's more of an asset for like coding or whatever. Like you see the truck as like a normal prop when you're in one section or supposedly in one section of the game, and then when you activate a certain event, then the assets kind of move and shift to show that the time of day has changed technically.
So you think maybe it originally was going to be something like that?
I think it was originally going to be something, but I don't think it was going to be like something where, oh my God, you need strength to move the truck. I think it was just going to be, it's a truck. And it's here.
Just scenery.
And now the scenery is gone.
There's some story behind it. Whether or not there's a story in canon or an interesting story, some developer at Game Freak made that truck tile and put it there. And like, it could have just been, maybe it was there and it was just easier to move it out of the way rather than going through the code, deleting the code, reworking the You're the game programmer, not me. So you know how this shit would work, not me. But
I think like sometimes in games you just leave things in games, and then when you have, especially when you make the final product, and then somebody like 10, 15 years later comes along and goes, hey, what's this thing doing here? And the developers are just like, oh, we put that there because we didn't have time to take it out.
Right.
We needed to put it out for mass production. So it's left there.
Some people say it's an Easter egg meant for people to do that. But that's a shitty Easter egg. The Easter egg is an inexplicable truck in a world without automobiles just sitting there and nothing happens. It doesn't even say anything when you talk to it. Like, if you're going to put an Easter egg there, it should be something clever or funny or with something.
But then how
or
could
mysterious.
it be? But how could it be an Easter egg when that was the first time we've ever experienced something like Pokemon?
Not like, are you thinking like a reference to something earlier or
Yeah.
something? I'm just thinking, just something for you to find, something hidden for you to stumble across if you stumbled across it. But that's a very banal Easter egg. Oh, it's a truck.
Yeah, just the truck.
Could it at least say like Brock's truck or something? So I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's an Easter egg. It's Brock's truck. It's just a truck.
Yeah,
like
just a normal, average, everyday.
if that's the case, what was the developer thinking? Was he just a automobile fan who was like, you know what, I'm gonna put a truck in this game because I like trucks. I like trucks.
I like trucks.
I don't know, man.
Or you could be something cool, like you could go to the truck and then you get an Arcanine or any dog truck and then it uncontrollably like barks and then you go, oh, dogs love trucks. And you're like, haha, I get that because from the commercial at the time when those were big. But I'm dating myself here. Just showing my age.
Yeah. Well, that just recording this podcast is doing that.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. That's true.
Remember a time when only kids knew what PokeGods were? Now only old people know what PokeGods are.
Yeah, that is true.
Get me my coffee. I'm grumpy. You're not passing till I get my coffee.
Oh, man. I will say this. Around when people talking about, how Pokemon was evil and everything, and my mom started to monitor my behavior and activity closely because she started noticing I started getting a lot of money. And she was like, how can this preteen have all of this money? He doesn't have a job. He's buying boxes of Pokemon cards. And I remember her being really worried about that. But what I used to do was, when at the height of the whole PokeGods thing, I stumbled upon codes where you can sit down and give Pokemon moves that they're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
So I remember dueling. I remember battling one of my friends, and then I had Pikachu, and I used Psychic on him, and then he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, dude, it's special training. I can get them to learn any move that I want them to. And I remember everyone in the lunchroom just crowding around me. It was like, do you see this guy? His Pikachu knows Psychic. And then
the guru, Antoine Baker.
So like I remember everyone just freaking out. So, and I was like, yeah, I can make anybody's Pokemon learn any move. It was like, give me $15 and you just give me a list of moves you want and I will make your Pokemon learn that move. And everyone would, like, every day somebody would be like, so yeah, like, I want Scyther to have this move, this move, this move, and this move. And I'm just like, okay, all right, that's all right. I could do that for you. I could completely do that.
That's how it starts. It starts off with everybody. One kid gets the Game Shark, and one kid knows the codes and is blowing everybody's minds. And then eventually he tells a couple of his friends. The word gets out. They find it on the internet, whatever. Suddenly the whole school knows everybody's got a Game Shark. Everybody's tried it. Everybody's game gets glitched out. Everybody restarts their game and starts new. And the tide sort of shifts, and it becomes, you know what? If you're using your Game Shark, you're whack. And
well, there's a way I combated that. There was a little device. Everybody's Game Sharks were bricking everybody out. I moved on to the next device, which was, I think it was called the Goldfinger. And the Goldfinger, pretty much, it didn't like how the Game Shark just forces code into the game that's not native to the game. The Goldfinger manipulated the code in the game, making the game thinks that that's what normally happens in the game. So it never bricked out anything. The
Game Shark could do both. I know, because I know a lot of the PokeGods come from just looking up. God, I'm not the programmer here, so it's hard for me to like explain this shit. Like I have a loose grip on it, but like looking up like one of the empty data slots for Pokemon or one of the ones like, and you get like random data. So the reason a lot of these developed was because people would use a Game Shark and be like, okay, well there's, I don't know, 40. Well, there was originally supposed to be 190 Pokemon in the game. So that would mean 39 slots would be unused. And that's where Missing No comes from when it tries to look up a spot.
Missing No actually is Missing No is a part. I gotta describe this better. Missing No is actually supposed to be one of the random Pokemon that you run into. It is actually the encounter code. That's for random encounters. So that's why with the Missing No code, where you didn't have to use a Game Shark, all you had to do was run into a Pokemon in the Safari Zone or basically anywhere. And then when you ran into Missing No, the Pokemon that you ran into the most recent was the one that you got from Missing No.
But I see we're going to do a whole episode about Missing No, so we're not going to get too in depth to this like technical
we'll come back to
aspect
it
of it. But I know like it had something to do with like your name and when it looks up a placeholder spot where there is no Pokemon. And in that sense, you could use the Game Shark to look up a lot of these spots. And some of them would have like a type or an icon that was like suggestive of fire type or grass type. And so people would say like, oh, you put your Blastoise in spot 1 and then do this code and it evolves it. It doesn't evolve shit. You could put a fucking Eevee there. It just takes that Pokemon and replaces it kind of and uses it to create this other like glitchy Pokemon. And then you can use the Game Shark to manipulate code and whatnot to have it say Rainer or whatever and give it the moves that you want to give it. Right. And it's crazy. It's almost like we were these mad alchemists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with these devices that would like subvert the natural order and turn lead into gold, but it didn't work quite right. Like much like would happen in a Lovecraftian horror movie or something where like we're trying to turn lead into gold, but it's got some Pet Cemetery like
and then
consequences.
And then we just cast it off to the side and let it be someone else's problem, which usually the Pet Cemetery problem is usually your game just fucking up.
I'll trade you a level 150 Alakazam.
Oh my god! But it was super cool. And then oh my god, they gave us Pokemon Stadium, and then when those changes could carry over into Pokemon Stadium and those moves, you could use them. I was just like
and see it in all its pixelated glory.
Yeah, and then you're like, my god.
Polygonal, not pixelated, sorry.
Yeah, but it's just like, my god. I need to find another game.
For anybody who is still confused as to which one of us was the game developer.
Those were some really good times. But like I said, I've made a lot of money off the Game Shark to the point where it scared my mother. Because I remember going into a store and my brother was like, well, I want a pack of Pokemon cards. And my mom was like, no, you can't have it.
Don't worry.
And I was like, and I literally was like, you know what? I got you, bro. So I bought a box of Pokemon cards. And then I remember the look on my mom's face when I took the box, I put it on the counter, and the guy looked and he was like, that'd be $107.68. And my mom was like, $100? I ain't buying that. And I was like, I didn't ask you to buy it. So I pulled out all my money. I pulled out this big wad of money. And my mom was like, where'd you get that? And then she was like, no, you're not buying those. And she was like, you're not buying those until I find out where you got that money.
It's a lot of money.
I had like $800 on me
selling
that day.
Fake Pokemon? That's the offense.
Yeah, selling. I was original Team Rocket right there. Look, in hindsight, I was pretty much profiting off like fake Pokemon. So
next step, print fake Pokemon cards, laminate them.
Oh no, that was the line. That was the line right there. As a person who's like at the time was playing Magic the Gathering, I thought that was kind of crossing the line. So when I see people doing like fake Pokemon cards, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But then they're like, but you sell fake Pokemon on the Game Boy, and I'm like, shut up.
So long as you don't sell them something that's actually physical and tangible in the real world. As long as you're just selling them nebulous data.
Yeah. As long as I can give you junk data and sell it to you, then I guess that was pretty good.
And there was a lot that you could do with the Game Shark. A lot.
There was.
We're not going to be even scratching the surface. We're just going to... This episode is to look at the most popular myths and the culture surrounding. Like, I think this is a really fun and often forgotten aspect of Pokemon fandom. And do you remember... What are some of the other things that you could do? Do you remember the Mist Stone? The rumored Mist Stone?
Oh, yeah. I didn't... I heard about those, but like the other rumors, I didn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't care so much for them because I was making so much off the PokeGod crap that I was just like, screw that. And nobody really asked me for anything else. They were like, oh, can you get me this PokeGod, or can you get me this like moveset for this Pokemon that I really like? Or can you jack up my Pokemon stats? And that, I think that was the next thing that I moved on to, was where you can make their stats anything that you want them to be. And
wait, they didn't know you had a Game Shark, right? They would just give you the game.
Yeah, they would just give me the game and then just assume that, you know, I go through these rigorous training regimens with these Pokemon, and we were kids, and I was just basically like, you know, stupid kids. Even though I was a stupid kid myself, but
yeah, so many games. I'm imagining you with this whole like ticket system in your room, like with bowling shoes, you know, where it's like, and you're like, all right, I got their game here, their game here. Like,
yeah, well, no, I had them piled up in certain parts in the room.
You accidentally give a kid the wrong game. He's like, hey, this was red version when I gave it to you.
Yeah, like, there was one kid that was like, oh, can you do this for my Pokemon? I was like, sure. And he hands me Pokemon Green, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Get this
Japanese
out of my
game?
Yeah, the Japanese game. He hands it to me.
Wow.
And then I'm like, what the fuck is this? Get this out my face.
That's insane. How did a kid get his hands on Pokemon Green back in the day?
Well, he was actually Asian, and at that point, I did not understand because he had ended up just moving to the States.
Okay.
So then he ended up enrolling in Clary with the middle school I went to.
So did you think it was fake?
Well, I was sitting there, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? Like, this is it's a green cartridge. Like, and I'm going around. I remember going into a game store, EB Games, and I was like, what's the trade-in value on this game? And I remember it clear as day. There was this girl, she glanced, and then she tried to go back to do what she was doing, and then she looked, and she was like, oh my God, is that Pokemon Green? Is that yours? She was like, I could talk to you outside and buy it off of you. And then I was like, oh no, I changed my mind, you know? And so I was like, is it valuable? She was like, yeah, that's the game we're supposed to get. You know, there's red, blue, and green. And then she went into this whole tirade. And I was like, oh, okay.
I gotta get home. And I'm imagining you walk out and just people like kind of walking like half a block behind you. Every time you stop, they stop. They're distracted. You know.
Yeah, they're just acting like, you know, they're just common background people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just gonna get black bagged now.
Yeah.
But
the green version was actually another cornerstone to a lot of these myths, is that, oh, well, you could catch these unknown Pokemon, these new mysterious weird PokeGods in the green version, which you could only get in Japan, since the internet was so young and there was no YouTube, there was no Google, there was Yahoo, but it hadn't indexed like 99% of the internet. It still hasn't indexed like 99% of the internet, you know?
Yeah.
But it hadn't indexed much at all. Like, so you could only find what you could find. Information was hard to come by. Information from Japan. There weren't a bunch of Pokemon fans online that knew how to translate shit like there is now, you know?
Yeah.
And green version, or even the Japanese version of the blue version, there was a lot of confusion as to what order these games came out in and what we got. Like, I remember originally hearing that it was red and green in Japan, and then our blue version is basically just their green version, but they just changed it to blue. But then I was hearing, no, we got the blue version, but they had red and green, so we just never got the green. They gave us the red and blue. And then like there were so many different. If you want the real scoop, just go back and listen to our Pokemon Red and Blue beta episode. But that's crazy. I can't believe you had in your hands a copy of the green version back then. What the fuck?
And I tried to put it in my Game Boy, and it wouldn't work. So, okay, it doesn't work in my Game Boy. He was like, it doesn't? And I was like, no. And that's when I really started getting into Japanese culture because of this kid. And I remember actually, they lived close to the middle school. And I remember going to their house and seeing all this amazing stuff in their home that they brought from Japan. And I was just like, my God.
I'm picturing the transition being like, you seeing all this, and then suddenly like the fucking Dance Dance Revolution song starts, some J-pop kicks in, cut to montage of Antoine just twirling arms out in a sea of Japanese culture.
Something like a song of music. I'm just twirling around with a briefcase and a Game Boy. No, but I am sick of that song though. I used to work at Cyberstation, an arcade here, and the thing was right next to the DDR machine, and it would just play all the time incessantly. And then you had the DDR regulars that come in, and I would hear this song all the time when that thing started up. So I am very, very, very sick of that song. No offense to DDR or anything, but it's overstayed its welcome in my mind space.
Well, the Mist Stone was, the idea was that it could evolve any Pokemon. That was the widespread idea. I believe it actually began, though, as the stone that would evolve Pikachu into Pikablue, mist water.
Right.
If you guys don't know what Pikablue is, just hold on to your butts. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But eventually it grew from that, probably because it just sounds generally mystical, Mist, the Mist Stone. And the idea was that it could evolve any Pokemon at all, even those which had reached their final stage of evolution. So I wonder what would happen then if you just kept using it, like you evolve Charizard to Charcolt, and then you use it on Charcolt. I don't know.
Yeah.
You get Mega Charcolt X. So that was one of those things. You could Game Shark a Mist Stone into your game, but it didn't do shit. And that was what the maddening thing was, because as a kid, we didn't understand this that well. It's not that difficult to hijack a code into displaying the letters that say Mist Stone on the item.
Yeah.
But then you try to use it and it doesn't do anything because it's a lot more complex for a kid to figure out. How do you use a Game Shark to hijack a code to make an item that evolves any Pokemon to these fake evolutions? Nobody had that.
No, none of us put
Antoine
two
didn't even
together.
have that time.
No.
And one other really widespread aspect of these fake codes and rumors, before we get into the meat of the episode, the fake Pokemon themselves, was areas that you couldn't normally access. Do you remember a lot of these?
I vaguely remember them. I'm sure they'll come back to me, but I do remember there were some parts where there was like a certain island that you couldn't go to that Mew resided in. I remember
wildly
that.
creative names like PokeGod Island.
Yeah.
PokeGod City. No, Bricktown was a popular one, which was like a city or town where everybody traded PokeGods and like whatever. By and far, though, the most prominent of these hidden places was Bill's secret garden. If you remember when you go to Bill's house, there is behind his house what looks like a pathway that's leading up past the borders of the screen, because everything else is closed off, but behind his house, it keeps going. So rumors abounded that there was this area back there with tall grass, also any other areas with tall grass that you couldn't reach.
Yeah.
And back there were all of the PokeGods. And this was another thing that kind of tipped me off, because I remember at first there's some air of believability, but then it's like, that doesn't seem canon. Would the creators, if they made up PokeGods, would they have some secret area in Bill's backyard where all of the PokeGods live? That just seems like a kid made that up.
Yeah. And then to me, what made me like disillusioned from it was like, but why Bill?
Well,
like out of everybody there,
he's like one of the world's most preeminent Pokemon researchers.
He's kind of he built they did say he built the entire Pokédex.
But why not Indigo Plateau, maybe? Like somewhere up there in Victory Road or something? Maybe a secret exit from Victory Road. Let's go back and make our own PokeGod codes. We could make them way more convincing.
We could.
You could program them with the Game Shark.
I can program them with the Game Shark, but no, there's an actual community out there who's like there's a community on DeviantArt who's taken some of those rumors and actually expanded on those universes, so you can go back to those old games and see all of that stuff.
Right, yeah.
And I think they're called Fakemon. Last time I checked, they made up over 100 PokeGods that you can go and catch, because it was like a free Flash game for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool and really clever, and it was like really fleshed out.
It stops interesting me so much once it becomes readily apparent that's like, these are OCs, do not steal, copyright.
Yeah.
DeviantArt.com. What really captivated my interest was the ones that somehow just became popular, and like the ones that people believed in and the ones that we can't trace the origin of completely. We're going to actually trace the origins of a lot of these on today's episode, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But those were the ones that really captivated my imagination. These codes would get like copied and pasted from site to site to site, so much so that you would see the code worded exactly the same with all the same typos on so many different sites. And then sometimes typos would get fixed, details would get changed, someone would read the code but then forget some of it, so type it up on their own site differently, and it evolved on its own. Once it got to the point where people were just making things up and it became obvious, I lost interest in it. But even once I knew that these things were not real, I was still captivated by the phenomenon. Story goes, Mr. Psychic would tell you about the PokeGods if you had captured all of the Pokemon, put the 3 legendary birds in your party, and then 3 Geodudes. Don't ask. A lot of these codes have weird prerequisites like that. I think because a lot of it comes from the bugs that we became aware of, like Missing No. In order to catch a Missing No, it's a bug in the system, that right. If you do these certain things in this order with this timing, it will confuse the programming and you'll get a Missing No. So kids don't get that. So they're like, that's the secret code. You got to talk to the coffee guy, then you fly to Safari Zone, then you get in a fight, then you fly out, then you go up and down the coast. It's not a code that they created. And everyone listening to this probably already knows this, It's a bug that just resulted in things that happen because of the programming. And so when kids made up these codes, there would often be this like ridiculously long, convoluted chain of events you have to do. Also, a added benefit to that for the fakers would be that if somebody did this and they didn't get what you said they'd get, they'd be like, oh, I must have done it wrong. I must have only talked to my mom 96 times, and go back and try it again. If you have a second and you don't mind listening to me talk, I'm not going to go through the code for each of these Pokemon, but I would like people to have some type of an example of
frame of reference.
Yeah, of what the average code was like. So I'm going to read verbatim the method for capturing Tricket. Do you remember Tricket? Does that ring a bell?
I believe so. Some of them I know that there's some that actually pop out to me, but I don't remember that specific one very well.
Tricket was very, very much circulated and mentioned, but there were never any fake screenshots. There was never much information on what it was. But it was one of those names that was on all the sites, and this code was on a lot of the sites. This code is for Tricket, a new Pokemon for Gold and Silver. First, you must carry all 6 bug Pokemon in your party in this order: Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, Weedle, Kakuna, Beedrill. Then, open an empty box in your PC without any Pokemon in it. Go into the Safari Zone and catch a wild Venonat and a wild Venomoth. You cannot catch Venomoth before Venonat. Then catch a wild Paris and a wild Parasect. Same rule applies for Parasect, not before Paris. Keep them all in your PC box and do not change for any new ones. You do not need Scyther or Pinsir because they are rather rare to find. You will see them on the Victory Road, however, by catching all of the other bug Pokemon. That's a pre-code. That's a pre-code. Yes, along with Scyther in red, Pinsir will be in red too. And along with Pinsir in blue, Scyther will be in blue. It's the truth. Beat the Elite Four all the way through with the 6 Pokemon told. Do not allow Caterpie, Metapod, Weedle, or Kakuna to continue to evolve. Just press B to stop them from evolving. It's best for them to be on high levels, such as level 50 Caterpie and Weedle, level 60 Metapod and Kakuna, and level 75 for Butterfree and Beedrill. You can use rare candies and Game Shark to boost them up. After you win all 5, Gary too, matches, Professor Oak notices you have all your bug Pokemon. He asks if you're a bug collector, yes or no. If you answer no, he says, my mistake, and then the Hall of Fame comes up. If you answer yes, then he takes you to a cage where Tricket the Cricket lives. He lets you take it. I can't help but think of Rickety Cricket from It's Always Sunny. Jeez, now you're gonna put me in a fucking Pokeball, guys? Cricket, just go with red. Get out of the cage. You guys are assholes.
Oh man!
Not until I get my beer.
Just hearing these absurd codes.
Not until I get my herbal medicine. He lets you take it and use it for future battles. Tricket is on level 65, the same level as Gary's final Pokemon. Tricket knows Spore, Twin Needle, Mega Kick, and then in parentheses, crickets like to kick their leg with their legs, and Sing. I do not know if it learns any moves. It has no link with Shady Bug. Shady Bug is an entirely different Pokemon. They're just bug Pokemon. Shady Bug, incidentally enough, not really any codes for Shady Bug out there. Shady Bug was pretty much just mentioned in the Tricket code.
Okay, I remember the Shady Bug, but I've never seen anything
You don't know
on
Shady.
I don't know Shady.
While we're talking about Tricket, this is actually one of the most interesting of the stories for PokeGods too, because while researching this, I stumbled upon a lot of origins for these things that I hadn't previously considered. And Tricket is one of them that may or may not have an origin. Eventually, beta art for a Pokemon called Kage no Mushi, which was this little beetle that protects itself with a leaf, which was supposedly an evolution of Paris, circulated. And Tricket was said to be a bug that protects itself with a leaf. A lot of sites, that's all they would say. Tricket, a bug which protects itself with a leaf. However, consensus seems to be lately that it was most likely fake. Nobody else seems to be able to vouch for that beta art like people can for a lot of the other beta art that's surfaced.
Right.
And I guess in certain circles, it's become like there's a culprit that like this dude probably made it. Like I don't know the dude's username, but like there's a certain person that probably made that screenshot trying to trick people into thinking the PokeGods were real or something. But it's pretty convincing art, so got to give him that.
Tricket though, it sounds like it would be more of a bug. It protects itself using a leaf, but it's more of deception.
Dark type, but dark type didn't exist yet.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like it would be more like it'd probably be like psychic or something because it'd be deception.
Right.
It would be
I
like,
can see
oh,
that.
you
Okay.
attack the leaves.
Oh,
Oh, it's
yeah.
not there.
Tricket, the psychic cricket. That'd be dope.
We'll probably get one though. Pokey, they're swinging wild on everything now.
Antoine's gonna dig up his Game Shark as soon as he gets home.
No, that thing is long dead.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, 1998. So,
But without a doubt, the most popular of the PokeGods, the one with the most evidence depicting it as real, besides Mew, was Peekaboo.
which was revealed to be, I guess, Meryl later on.
You remember calling it Peekaboo, right?
Right.
I mean, this one, as far as there are official trading cards for Pokemon the first movie, which reference it as Peekaboo.
Right.
Which I want one of those cards just to have in my collection. I don't care if it's worth anything. I just want it because that's fucking cool. Originally, it was thought to be an evolution to Pikachu or an evolution to Raichu. And that started because in the game, when you can trade like a Raichu for an Electrode or something, and the guy, if you go back to him, he says, the Raichu you traded me went and evolved, which is odd because Raichu doesn't evolve.
Right.
So people were theorizing that that's what Peekaboo was, but apparently it was just because in the Japanese version, you didn't trade him a Raichu, you traded him a Kadabra, and the translators just got lazy and didn't change the text to make sense.
Yeah.
Peekaboo, though... Man, like there were pictures from the anime, there were screenshots from Gold and Silver.
The cool part about it was none of them were in any sort of context. So they were just like, new PokeGod, Peekaboo, and then you see like, oh my god, that's going to be in Gold and Silver. Then you're like, oh my god, there's a trading card for it.
Right.
And it all started to add up, and you're like, oh shit, like I gotta catch that. And then we get it and it's Meryl. And
Yeah.
you're like...
When Gold and
okay.
Silver came out, I was a little mad that it wasn't called Peekaboo when Gold and Silver came out. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I remember my understanding of Peekaboo to be that it wasn't a PokeGod, even though so many sites claimed it was a PokeGod. I thought, even when I thought it was still available in Red and Blue, I didn't think it was an evolution of Pikachu either. I thought it was just another Pokemon that was like a water type Pikachu that was secret and that you could find secretly.
Yeah.
That Peekaboo spawned a whole ton of Pika Pokemon, most notably in my mind Pika Flare and Pika Bud. Pika Bud was a little grass type one. I remember the sprite. He had a little triangle leaf on his tail, and I loved Pika Bud. He was one of my favorite fake Pokemon after I knew they were fake. Pika Flare has an interesting story, though. It's basically, as you would guess, a fire type Pikachu mouse Pokemon.
Right.
But back then, I assumed that one was totally fake. Once I learned the truth, I was like, okay, Pika is really Meryl. Pika Flare was just some made-up bullshit. Not so. There was some Hananguma artwork. Hananguma was an early planned Pokemon for Gold and Silver, which looked like a Raichu made of fire. And there's legit, real concept art for this Pokemon. However, at the point, that concept art hadn't really been leaked to the whole internet, but some people had seen it, which sparked the rumor of this Pika Flare Pokemon. Eventually, Hananguma was changed to Cyndaquil, and that's a totally different Pokemon. But there was a playable demo exhibited in Japan where you could play with this fire-looking Raichu as your starter Pokemon in Gold and Silver. So that's just fascinating that like nobody knew that back then. It was this game of telephone, you know?
Yeah.
Which is it's fascinating to me. And it's interesting too cuz like if Pika Blue and Pika Flare were real, we would have a water, fire, electric trio of Pikachus.
That would be cool. Probably should have that for like the next game. Hint, hint. Nah, they've done a good job though. I don't know. And for the newer stuff, still like my Greninja. Like,
Greninja's amazing.
But the new cat one, like I said, it's that broke it. That snapped it. Sun and Moon snapped that 30-year streak, man. They were just.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most popular categories for PokeGods was the evolutions of pre-existing Pokemon.
Yep. Mew 3 was a really popular one in a lot of my circles.
Mew 3 was the rumor. Whether it was, some purported it to be an evolution to Mewtwo, and some purported it to just be the second clone of Mew after Mewtwo. And generally, that was because of the Mewtwo wearing the cyborg armor from Pokemon the first movie.
Right.
Pictures of that leaked onto the internet before the movie came out and before we knew much about it, and people assumed that was Mew 3. So it was another convincing one.
Yeah, that one, I remember everybody watching that one. They were like, oh my god, that is Mew 3, and Mewtwo is probably have to go up against that thing. And before we got any movie details, that was what everybody generally thought. And like you've said, it was before the internet, so it was this weird game of like we took everything at face value. And I think that's what made also Pokemon such a great phenomenon back then. Like there was no internet to spoil anything. Yeah. We just took it at face value, and it just generated hype, and that's why we bought all the games. Like
it's not a game; it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is.
This exists, and we're talking about it, and it can't be found in any of the games. Hence, it's a fucking lifestyle.
But we wanted it to be real, though. We definitely wanted it to be real. And I guess a lot of other people, when they were revealed the Steel type and the Dark type, and I think everybody thought Mew 3 was going to be Psychic Dark. Well, that was the rumor that I heard. A lot of people was assuming the reason why they introduced the Dark type was because they were introducing the new PokeGod.
When they revealed the art for Mega Mewtwo Y or whatever, my jaw dropped. I was like, no. I thought, because this was before Mega Evolutions were made clear, and I was literally like, oh my god, they're doing it. Mew 3, they made it, they slapped it on a lunchbox, and they're selling it, and now they're going to sell it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Mew 3, of course, but for a week or two, however long it was that picture was just posted by Nintendo with no info, that was Mew 3 to the entire community. Like, it was like, oh my god, they're making Mew 3. And they didn't. Mew 3 will always hold a special place in my heart. The king of fanfiction.net.
Does that site still exist?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I have a lot of friends who wrote stuff on fanfiction.net. And I'm just like, is that even a thing anymore? Like, is fanfiction.net still a thing?
Mew 3, you will be remembered.
You will be remembered. Well, they're getting close, though. They did the Mega Evolution, so it's only a matter of time before we see a Mew 3. And Mew is still an event-only Pokemon.
Yeah,
it should
be that way. It should be that way.
I mean, maybe I'm being selfish, but I would just like to catch him in game.
Then the probably 3 most popular of the evolutions would be, of course, Charcolt, Rainer, and Sapusaur, which were the evolutions to
Charmander. I heard of those
Charizard,
three.
Blastoise, and Venusaur. These, again, there were never any pictures really circulated with them, just these wild, crazy, weird codes. But I have an image in my head, sort of a loose image of like what they each would look like. I imagine like the Charizard Charcolt would be like burnt to a crisp, so it looks like charcoal or like charred stone. Saposaur, like a Venusaur with a tree on its back, like that's the obvious next step, and sap comes out of a tree. So like maybe have like, like sap dripping out of the tree, and Rainer, the Blastoise could be like surrounded by this like mist that's almost like condensed to a thick fog like around it that could rain or something, almost like the rings around Saturn, but of like a mist or a fog around this Pokemon. I don't know. That's just like an image that's always stuck with me if I were to invent these Pokemon and what they looked like.
That's pretty cool. I think, though, that the Blastoise, though, he'd be more weaponized.
Like the Mega Blastoise, kind of?
Yeah, he would be more weaponized.
Yeah, I would still definitely see that the guns on the back or something, some type of turret or tank on its back. I just like that fog, hovering fog. There was also Locustod and Beepin, the evolutions of Butterfree and Beedrill. And like all these are pretty much open to interpretation and imagination. I don't know what they would look like. Locustod is horrifying. So does the...
Yeah, that's... Because you go from a beautiful little butterfly to fucking locust.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real big dark turn of events right there. It's just like, oh my God. Like,
does it leave the shed Butterfree skin like on the ground?
Jeez Louise.
A dead Butterfree shell on a tree?
That bums me out.
There's Rataclaw, Pearduck, Sandswipes.
Yeah, I remember Sandswipes. Oh my God, because my brother was a huge Sandshrew fan. That's like his favorite Pokemon.
Sandslash was one of my favorites. I mean, I feel like a true Pokemon's fan, their favorites change every few months, but...
Yeah, no, and this is my brother's absolute favorite. And what was it? Sandswipes. When he heard that, he freaked out. He was like, you gotta find out if that's real. And he was very fervent to like try to have one. And then his buddies kept
$50 for one.
and then his buddies kept telling him about it. And then they were like, oh man, you should ask your brother to get you one. They try to see if your brother could get it for us and we'll pay him. And then he was like, well, I don't know. And then they were like, here's $20. And his friend would give him $20, and my brother would always come to my room like, yeah, so somebody wants you to get like Sandswipes because everybody wants them now.
And you're like, God damn it, do I have to pretend the PokeGods are real?
Yeah.
You're like, moral dilemma. Do I pretend the PokeGods are real? Moral dilemma. I'm using a game. I'm charging people money.
Yeah, like
to give them fake illegal Pokemon.
And I did it. I straight out did it. I was just like, you know what? Sandslash. And then give him these certain moves, and then I was like, "There you go." And then my brother like handed the guy one of his friends back the game. He's like, "Oh my God, it's Sandswipes!" And then
the natural progression of events. You shouldn't have become a game developer. You should have become a Monsanto engineer, like toiling away on secret life forms. You should have created the Indominus Rex.
The Indominus Rex.
The newest PokeGod. OCDeviantArt.com, copyright Henry Wu. Do not steal.
Indominus Rex.
There was Dream Master, Hypno's evolution, which is the laziest name. Dream Master, 2 different words. That's not a Pokemon name. If you guys can't come up with a name that sounds like a Pokemon name, don't do it. Or how about don't circulate it?
Dream Master, like
in my dreams, I am the Wizard Master. Spooky, Gengar's evolution, again, not a good name. Nidogod. Now, this one was interesting. Eventually, it became Nidogod and Nidogoddess, so that Nidoking and Nidoqueen both had an evolution. But originally, the idea was that you could fuse Nidoking and Nidoqueen together to make a Nidogod.
See, now when they get to the fusing part, because there's been a couple of those rumors where I immediately knew they were fake, because I was like, how do you fuse Pokemon together? And there's no feasible way of doing that.
Yeah, those were some of the worst because...
And I think those were right around when Dragon Ball Z got really popular and they started doing the fusion arcs, so...
And it was near the end of... It was the tail end of the PokeGod phenomenon when it became clear, and it's like, all right, this isn't fun anymore. Like,
yeah,
you got Arctic Zap Mutrez. That's not a fucking real Pokemon, you asshole. Mew Blue. The scientists tried to clone a Pika-Blue, and they accidentally made Mew Blue. All right.
Actually, okay, so here's a funny thing. There is actually a Pokemon card like that. There's a blue Mew.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and that's
shiny Mew is blue.
Yeah, it is the Delta species.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's actual Mew card where it's actually blue.
Interesting.
But
this was half Mewtwo, half Pika-Blue. So it was like a Mewtwo with the head of a Mew and the tail of a Pika-Blue, if I remember correctly. So it looked half badass, half cute, all ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Then, yeah, that's...
Yep. There was also a few that did have pictures. There was a popular site called PokeFactory or PokemonFactory.com or something like that. And you would see that URL stamped on the bottom of a lot of the PokeGod pictures, which if you just went to the website would be the instant kill to the phenomenon. You'd be like, oh, it's fake. But
yeah.
Demonix was one of them, or Demonox, Dimonix probably, because it's supposed to be a diamond onyx. But as a kid, I never realized that, and I thought it was just Demonix, like it was a demonic Pokemon. But it was Onyx's evolution, made of diamonds, had horns and wings. These were what was spoken of in the codes, in the text prints of the codes, but then eventually they made a version of it, and I think Pokemon Factory had the same misunderstanding I did, because their version of Dimonix looks nothing like an Onyx. It just looks like a straight up demon. But that one was interesting, and it's interesting that Onyx did get an evolution, but it was Steel type.
Yeah, which natural.
What's also interesting though is this was out before Dimonix did come out after the Crystal Onyx episode of the anime aired in Japan, but before it aired in America. So it's really weird as to whether or not it's a coincidence or whether or not somebody did see the Crystal Onyx in Japan, said, oh yeah, there was a Diamond Onyx on a Japanese episode of the anime. Their friend heard him tell it, posted it on their website. Someone read that, copied and pasted it. Someone made up a code, misheard the code, whatever, you know?
Right.
Flareth was another popular one, which was Flareon's evolution. Oddly, only Flareon got an evolution.
Yeah, everybody. I think that's the coolest part about Eevee is Eevee could be any one of them.
Right.
Which I think is the apex Pokemon, because it's highly adaptable in its surroundings.
Yeah.
So it can turn into whatever its surroundings permit it to.
It sort of represents evolution as a whole, which is pretty cool. I don't know, Flareth, there was a fake screenshot of it, but again, it was just Ridley from Metroid. It was a dragon, but turned orange. I liked the code for it. You'd get Flareth by having the 3 birds and 3 Geodudes again. Use the item finder to find a note in a bottle in the unknown dungeon, which directs you to the thirsty girl at the Celadon department store. So you go to the top of the Celadon department store, talk to her 100 times, at which point she would get tired of it. She'd be like, I'm getting tired of this. Of course she is. She's too thirsty for that shit. Talk to her 100 times.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then she'd give you a Flareth to get you to go away. Which, that's another common theme in this, is doing something so many times that somebody says, I'm getting tired of this. And then, like, supposedly you had to beat the Elite Four like 100 times, and Oak would be like, all right, I'm getting tired of this. And, like...
And the PokeGods, ain't nobody got time for this.
Ain't nobody got time for no PokeGods. Talk to Professor Oak 100 times.
I ain't got time for that. Nobody ain't got no time for that. Oh, man.
Professor Oak, we've been talking for 100 times, and you still can't figure out if I'm a boy or a girl? Another one, there was Alenkar, which was a dead Pokemon. Basically, the idea was that an Alakazam died and then returns as a ghost/psychic type. It was interesting. It had
I heard that one because I do like Alakazam as like one of my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, what do you think of that Mega Alakazam?
The Mega ones from the new games, I jumped aboard that. I was like, yeah,
I like it.
I was like, that is a thing. Like,
it's fucking
I am
cool.
so glad. But no, the Mega Evolutions, that they
owe a lot
extension,
to the PokeGod phenomenon.
Yeah. They kind of tap into that, the whole PokeGod phenomenon. They're like, well, we're not giving you PokeGods, but we'll give you something close to it.
Yeah, the PokeGods, I think, in real canon are Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe even Kyogre and Groudon.
Or probably Jirachi,
totally. Like all those types of legendaries.
Yeah.
What else? There was Clegiana, like an angelic evolution to Chansey. Lapras, Omnimist, which was Omastar's evolution, which I feel like was supposed to be Omamist, but typo, and then it gets duplicated and duplicated.
Yeah.
Fracture was Marowak's evolution. That one had a slightly convincing sprite out there. Do you remember seeing it?
I think it had a slightly more cracked skull.
Yeah, and like jagged.
Yeah,
like,
it's all jagged and everything, yeah.
It had like the bone that it fights with. And
Yeah.
there was Lunarion and Solarion, which were possibly inspired by Umbreon and Espeon.
Yeah.
And this one, again, like it's kids copying and pasting or typing things from memory and not remembering what they were or hearing their friends tell them about it and typing it. Cyromew or Cryomew or Chronomew or Cybermew or even Corona Mew. That's the day drunk Mew.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's the description under it. It's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock in Moon version. 5 o'clock in Sinnoh. Yeah, that one, I remember reading, it's like, okay, Cryomew. So what is this, an ice type? Has it been like cryogenically frozen, or is it a future Mew? And then Cybermew. Oh, so it's like a digital Chronomew. So it's like a time traveling Mew. Corona Mew. That's just a type of beer. Like, I think it, again, the game of telephone,
Yeah.
And of course, Venustoise, as you said, the mixing of Pokemon, but at least that one had a appearance in the anime, and Zapmalcuno was from the manga, but Arctic Zapmutrez, no. Just no.
Arctic Zapmutrez.
I would say the other most popular, probably tied with the fake evolutions, would be real Pokemon from Gold and Silver, even though a lot of us didn't know about Gold and Silver yet. Do you remember when you first heard about Gold and Silver?
Beckett's the Beckett's Pokemon card value book.
Yes.
And that's when I first heard about Gold and Silver.
Beckett. They had the Digimon magazine. They had a wrestling magazine. They had a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh magazine. Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I remember Beckett. Wow.
Yeah. That's where I first heard from them.
Pull out those fucking posters. Put them up. Bam. Vegeta. Pika Blue.
Bam! Yeah. I think like when you got the poster for Pika Blue, that confirmed everything.
There was no post. That would be. I would pay anything for a Beckett Pokemon collector that had a Pika Blue poster.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would pay any amount of money.
I'm sure like that.
Antoine's gonna go home, Photoshop, laminate, $50.
Here you go, $50. Sure. No, but they had some of the pictures, and then they had the one big scene where they did the official artwork, and they had like the one big, like, it wasn't a poster, but it was just like one page of the official artwork. And I think that was really cool because I was like, oh man, that's actually really cool. Like they're actually starting to make PokeGods now. And then you find out it's Miro.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Chikorita was one that leaked early because Chikorita was what it ended up being called in America because L and R are the same letter in Japan. Mm-hmm. This was known as the princess of all grass-type Pokemon early on in Pokemon fan circles. Of course, Pika-Blue, Togepi, but it was known early on as Togepi because, again, probably just a mistype that gets circulated. Bruno, which was the pink bulldog. It was known as Buru in Japanese. It became Snubble here. Bruno was one that was originally talked about even before we had pictures, and then eventually we did. And I think it's really interesting because, again, with the copy pasta and the game of telephone, I think rumors about the 3 legendary beasts and rumors about Buru or Snubble mixed together because the code said that, like, you go through the unknown dungeon and eventually something happens and you, like, fall through the ground and then you wind up in the basement and you're going to see a dog there, but it might run away. And that's what happens in Gold and Silver is you fall through the ground in the tower, you see the 3 legendary dogs and they all run away.
Right.
And Buru or Bruno is also a dog. So it's crazy. Whenever I see Ampharos, I think Denryu because its name in Japanese was Denryu.
Right.
And that was one of the earliest leaked ones, but we didn't know anything about its typing, about what it was, so we all thought it was electric dragon type. And we were so excited for Gold and Silver to come out so we could have our electric type dragon that was like our Pikachu. Everyone wants their Pokemon that's like half their size, that's like their buddy,
Yeah.
That was like the best one, and then we found out it was a fucking sheep. A sheared sheep?
Yeah, a sheared sheep.
Little did we know we were the sheep.
We were. And then we were sheared by our discipline. We were sheared by reality, just like all sheep are.
This is a very Fargo-esque episode of Silph Radio. Don Fan was another one that leaked early. It was pretty much exactly what it said it was. There was a bunch of other weird things, though. Like Nintendo Power actually reported that Yoshi and Luigi were Pokemon on 2 separate times. They were April Fool's jokes. And if I remember correctly, Yoshi evolved from Dragonite and Luigi from Lickitung. Now, that would be fucking weird. Having Luigi in a Pokeball? Let's imagine if this was canon for a minute here.
Yeah,
like, if Luigi really was a Pokemon, as Nintendo Power claimed. And you had Luigi in a Pokeball. Mario. Like...
Well, if he evolved from a Lickitung, I guess Daisy would like him. I'm just kidding.
Daisy misses the Lickitung.
Really bad joke is obviously bad.
I actually have a very distinct memory. I have a Pokemon poster. I remember going to on like kind of a night trip to the mall with my mom. She had to do shopping. I was just being dragged along. And I
As
remember
all kids are.
Right. And there'd be the stops you want to hit up, the fun stores, the comic shop, Spencer's, Hot Topic, whatever. So I remember going to Spencer's. And
Mr. Rags.
Mr. Rags.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh man, you don't remember Mr. Rags? That was actually in the mall. That was like
Is
a
that
huge...
like the male version of Joanne Fabrics?
Yeah. No, but it was kind of like Hot Topic before I found out about Hot Topic.
Oh, okay. It was like punk rock or gothic or pop culture.
It was more pop culture-y.
Okay.
It was think if Hot Topic also catered to the urban crowd.
Okay, that sounds awesome. They do nowadays.
Yeah, they do
it's
nowadays.
Like now
but
everyone
Mr.
wants those old-fashioned rock tees, Iron Maiden, AC/DC. It's cool now to wear T-shirts of bands you don't listen to.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. No, like they did, because they sold a lot of like goth stuff, and then like you turn around and then they're selling South Pole and FUBU. And
I used to wear so much South Pole back in the day.
Because it was so cheap. Like, not only was it fashionable, it was all cheap. Like...
I have a lot of pictures of me in a button-up, a silky button-up South Pole shirt that's about 3 sizes too big for me. So embarrassing.
Oh, man.
No, I remember going to Spencer's, and there was a poster which had every single Pokemon on it. And this was in the early days of Pokemon's popularity, so it hadn't quite reached national phenomenon yet. It was at the point where I was surprised to see it in Spencer's. So it was probably like right before we went over the waterfall, and the whole nation was obsessed with Pokemon. I remember a time when it was really hard to find Pokemon stuff. And I saw this poster in Spencer's that had all 150 Pokemon. I was just like, Mom, please. Like, I know you said you weren't going to get me anything, but I need this. That's how early it was that I had nothing that had all 150 Pokemon in it. I just had issues of Nintendo Power. I need this so that I can draw any Pokemon I want. I could draw any Pokemon I want, Mom. You don't understand. She's like, I don't understand why you need this. So I could draw any Pokemon I want.
And I bet you were in like tears. You were so passionate.
Yeah, there's never going to be something that will let me just look up a picture of any Pokemon, Mom.
They're like, it'll never happen in the history of mankind, ever.
2 months later, I need the strategy guide. 4 months later, we need the internet.
Yeah, I know, right? It just happens.
Yeah.
Time makes fools of us all.
I remember getting that poster. And then when I would go visit my father at my father's house, I had a subscription of Nintendo Power at my dad's house. So I would always wait until I got there to see if I got the new Nintendo Power yet.
Yeah.
And that was the one that had the April Fool's joke in it about Yoshi. And I ate it hook, line, and sinker. I was like, Yoshi's a Pokemon? And I remember I was like, I don't know how to feel about that. Fuck it. Gotta accept it.
Yeah. Like,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And I remember being disappointed that I was like, man, now this poster doesn't have all the Pokemon on it. I'm missing Yoshi.
Like, you're just like, damn, swindled again. Nintendo.
I need a new poster, Mom.
Yeah, Nintendo Power. I think they were the jerk bags who did the Pokemon Red and Blue strategy guide, but they chopped it up into in the course of an entire year.
Oh, I loved that though. I still have a few, and that's one of my favorite. I want to have them all, but they're expensive on eBay, dude. Pokemon Power.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my first. That was where I first got to really learn what was in the Pokemon game. Oh,
yeah. It was because when you kept getting it. You realized you were building the strategy guide.
Yeah.
Like, you were building it volume by volume. And I was just like, and then when I found out, I was like, oh, those sons of bitches.
Watch out real quick. Watch out right quick. I think I got one of these literally sitting, like, right to your right. This is going to be really... Nope, there it is. Bam. And you better be very fucking careful with these motherfuckers. As you can see, they're falling apart. But there it is, dude. First issue. Sorry to those listening to the podcast that are like, well, I can't fucking see this shit. I will post pictures on the blog. We'll tell you about the blog at the end of the podcast so that you guys can have some visual references.
Oh, yeah, and it also had the first episode.
Each issue had a comic made from screenshots of the anime.
Yeah, I actually remember that, too.
They're falling apart. Very, very poorly taken care of and preserved. I used to have them all, but, you're a kid. You don't think the shit matters that much. You just throw it under your bed,
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's actually... Oh, look at that. Yeah, just watch for the Pokemon animated series near you, and they told you what city it's going to be in and what TV station it's on. And look, there's our happy home of Syracuse, New York, WSYT.
Ah, so cool. Cool. Oh, that's Cracked Magazine. You know Cracked.com? It used to be a magazine back in the early 90s, and
now DC owns them.
My mom got me that when it was like right after her and my father divorced. She got me Cracked Monster Party to cheer me up with the Honey, I Blew Up the Kids baby walking Godzilla and King Kong. Okay, I'll post the visual references on secretroommultimedia.com. Let's get back to some stuff that can entertain our listeners.
I know, right? Well, I'm already entertained. I'm leaving. Bye, everybody.
Hey. That is not a fair trade. That for a fake Beckett Pokemon collector poster?
Oh, man. I can't believe that, though. Man, oh, man. First issue, collector's edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've ruined the collectability out of this thing.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm never going to sell it, so.
Yeah.
As long as it don't fall apart on me.
With the official... red artwork and all that other stuff. He looks like a deviant on
early
the cover.
Ken Sugimori art. I love like the weird watercolor aspect to it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But back to the PokeGods. By and far, the most interesting of these are the completely fabricated ones, the fake ass fucking Pokemon. I think most notable would be Doomsay and Doomsday.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
Ringing bells, maybe?
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I haven't seen anything. I knew those are fake because I was like, the names aren't even clever. Like if they were to do some like Doomsay or Doomday thing, the names would be way more clever.
I think it was a typo. Somebody accidentally typed Doomsay, and then someone else saw that and was like, what? That must be a pre-evolution to Doomsday, which I read about on another site. And then it became two Pokemon. There was a specific sprite floating around, which looked like some weird bladed insect type thing, which was one of the more convincing sprites, but really difficult to like decipher the image and wrap your brain around what were its arms and what is it? What is it? I can tell that's a face. I can tell those are blades, but what is its pose it's doing here? I can't make out its body. But then there was also the Poke Factory Pokedex sprites, which were just horrifying, like skeletal ghosts, which look nothing like Pokemon. They look like they're from like a dungeon in an RPG, you know?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which they probably were. They're probably from RPG Maker or something. This was interesting, though, because, yeah, it's fake, but it is one of the heavy hitters and one of the top players up there with Mew3 and Peekaboo with regards to the most popular PokeGods, Doomsay or Doomsday. Most people thought it was a ghost type. It was often referred to as a revenant Pokemon. One particular Pokedex entry referred to it as 91 feet tall and weighing 0.1 pounds, and said that some say it is only a dream. Others say it is a lonely soul that walks the earth to avenge its death. Antoine is unenthused. I don't know. It's we can't ignore it. If we're talking about PokeGods, it's one of the biggest ones.
Yes, it's just Oh my God.
It's interesting. Probably my favorite. I think it's probably my favorite of the PokeGods. Yeah, was High Fishy or Hifishy? Hefishy? I don't know. It was this weird, like, it was like a bipedal fish, but it wasn't like a fish with legs. It was sort of, it looked like it had fins that it just stood up on. You know what I mean? Like, they were just, like, anthropomorphizing a fish a little bit. It looked kind of like a Meowth mixed with a fish. And it looked kind of cool. I liked it. Apparently, it was originally inspired by concept art for Quillfish. But like with Hananguma and Pikaflare, certain people had seen that concept art and then talked about it. And then from there, a new fake Pokemon developed and emerged. Again, this is why it's so fascinating to me, you know?
Yeah.
It's a product of its time. This could never happen nowadays because fakes are instantly debunked. And,
fakes are the internet definitely ruins a lot of things. And fake leaks and stuff. A lot of people just take it with a grain of salt now. Like, Photoshop wasn't around back then. Adobe was, because I think they did PageMaker, and I remember wanting to use PageMaker, but we didn't have Photoshop then.
Nah.
So we couldn't just be like, that's Photoshop. Like, we couldn't do any of that. And
you
even
just
if
had to be really good at bitmap.
Yeah, you really did. Or abuse the hell out of paint.
Which is, the same thing.
Yeah, but no, it's... Nowadays, you can't even get away with that. And I think that's what makes them lose their magic is because of the internet. You can go and be like, that's fake.
Which is a good thing, you know, but it's also like, wow, we are losing these aspects of culture. And if people like us don't talk about it on record, people will forget. People don't forget the PokeGods.
Don't forget the PokeGods. Free my boy Peekaboo.
Remember Peekaboo.
Or Mew Blue.
I will remember High Fishy.
I guess God's catching them all now.
Don't let your Caterpie evolve.
Talk to your mom 100 times. She ain't got time for that and give it to you. So just
then there were a bunch of other little ones. I think those are the notable ones, but there's Skelazard, which was like a skeleton Charizard. There's
I'm sorry. The only thing I can think of is like Charizard, but with Skeletor's head, and it's just flying around. Yeah,
that's a skeleton Charizard is way cooler than that.
Like, I'm sorry, I have a really terrible imagination. He's just yeah.
Photoshop does not yet exist in my imagination. It's just like a paint.
He just goes around flamethrower.
What else was there? There's Frozone and Hellraiser, which were like they're made from the Haunter sprites, but they were like an ice one and a fire one. Not bad sprites.
Frozone and
Hellraiser.
Oh, Hellraiser.
But again, I would see these and I would be like, yeah, this is fake because Nintendo's not going to make a Pokemon that looks like Haunter. Like, that's stupid. Centodeath. Highly venomous red centipede. Audior, which was like a little Charmander, but with like a air horn for a mouth. Go figure. Gamble. I actually kind of liked Gamble. It was supposed to be Chansey's counterpart, and it had a similar like body type and build, but it was smaller, and it had longer ears that like they were like bunny ears that went down, like pointed bunny ears that hung down instead of going straight up. And it was said to live at the game corner. It was totally black with a white star on its belly and like a red circle on its forehead. And I like this. It was called Gamble. It was a bad luck Pokemon, said to be misunderstood. It was kind of cool, and I liked their depiction of it.
That sounds actually pretty good. That sounds like a really good Pokemon concept if you look at it.
Except that it lives at the game corner. There's a biological population of a reproducing population of Gamble at the game corner.
Probably.
Or is it behind the game corner in the game corner's secret garden?
Probably behind the game corner secret garden.
There was Woofpool, which was sort of a blue water-type version of Arcanine. It's known to break the fourth wall and crack edgy jokes while Pokemon battling. No, I added that part in. That's a little Deadpool joke. Did you see Deadpool 2, the trailer?
Yes, I did.
Oh, no spoilers for the listeners. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's so funny. What else was there? There was the 4th and 5th legendary birds. There was Geobird, which was the 4th one. I would have called it Quatroc. To keep going with the Spanish numbering theme, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres.
Yeah.
Quatroc. I don't know. It's the best I can come up with. It's better than Geobird.
Or Quadris or Quad,
Quatroc.
Quatroc.
Lotusan was the grass-type legendary bird, which I would have called Lotusinko. No? Hey, come on. I'm doing the best I can with bullshit Pokemon.
That actually sounds sounds better than what I came up with, so...
There's a bunch that kind of made the rounds in name only with no visual representation, but they were some of the most popularly Game Shark created glitch Pokemon. There was Anthrax. This was before 9/11.
Yeah.
Millennium. This was before the Millennium. Mysterio. This was before anyone had ever read a Spider-Man comic. Ruin. Cyber and Cybird. Wizwar, Tyranticus, Primator, and Psyche. And there was also one known as, it was called the Unidentified Dragon. And I believe that sort of came from the episode with the giant Dragonite of the anime.
Yeah.
People had rumors that you could catch that dragon in the game. And then, of course, as we said, eventually it started getting ridiculous. There was, like, robot Pikachus and Psyducks mixed with fucking Kangaskhans. And Pokemaniac was a PokeGod, a rumored PokeGod. Like, Pokemaniac, the trainer class type. Like, come on, that's not a legit PokeGod. You're not even trying anymore. That's a bug or a glitch. Like, come on, guys.
Pokemaniac?
Yeah, Ken Sugimori wasn't like, you know what? Like, I'm going to draw a new Pokemon, but it's just a trainer class. Shut up!
Pokemaniac? So this just come running on the side of trainers? Ah!
Could you imagine you run into a Pokemaniac, he throws out his Pokeball, out comes a Pokemaniac? But somewhere, deep in our hearts, these are all real Pokemon.
And we want them to be. Except Pokemaniac. Except
we don't.
Yeah. There's some of them that sound legit that you can make a good Pokemon out of, yes. The other ones, I don't know, they just started getting really silly after a while.
Eventually it did. It just overstayed its welcome, and eventually we all got sick of it. We moved on.
I mean, it's something that could still be around to this day. Like, it could be cool, but like, you have the internet that's against us, and people aren't creative.
But thankfully, we're keeping the legend alive here on Silph Radio. And if you want to read more about the PokeGods, you can go to Rage Candy Bar. I think it's ragecandybar.com. Just search for Rage Candy Bar. They have a great lengthy article which really helped with the research and facilitating my memories. But there's another website we want to talk to you about. Guys, we've been hyping it for 5 years, and it's finally here. SecretRoomMultimedia.com. Have you got to check it out yet, Antoine?
Yes, I have gotten to check it out.
What do you think of my lackluster web designing skills?
Your lackluster web designing skills? They're pretty cool, but the main treasure on there is Moose and Toast.
Moose and Toast. I put up these old comics I drew like 10 years ago about a moose and a piece of toast. And
and why are we just not reading those now? Like, there has to be a trade paperback, and we will try it. I will find a way to make that happen. Where we will have a trade paperback of Moose and Toast for sale,
available for purchase. That would be awesome.
Like, we are going to do this. Like, I've already found like a couple companies that actually do trade paperbacks on demand.
I'm gonna have to look into that. That would be pretty awesome if people will buy it. Go check them out. As for now, all 33 issues are up on the website. They're very like shoddily drawn, but I think they get pretty funny and clever. They're basically just cartoons about a moose and a piece of toast. They're best friends and roommates. It's a buddy flick type thing. You know, the toast is just read it. It's fun. And we're going to be rebooting. The reason I'm uploading these is because we're getting a legitimate comic artist to illustrate and me and Craig are going to sit down and we're going to write a new run of Moose and Toast comics, and we're going to really put some effort into it this time. These were just things I doodled for my friends to read in like 2006. So we're going to really put some effort into it and get it up on secretroommultimedia.com. That's one of the secret projects we've been tiptoeing around, walking on eggshells to not mention. But now you can go to secretroommultimedia.com, find all the Moose and Toast comics and all sorts of other stuff. You can find links to Antoine's Pretty Kitty Fuzzy,
which is now on Steam Greenlight. So if you have a Steam account, lend us a yes vote so we can make it happen, make it live on Steam.
Yeah, Pretty Kitty Fuzzy is a what do you call it? A side-scrolling shoot 'em up, and it's awesome. If you're a fan of Sailor Moon or Cats, or fucking Pokemon. If you're a fan of Pokemon, which you must be, go check it out. It's pretty cool, and go give it the green light or whatever. Well, they got to give it the green light. You give it what, the upvote?
Yeah, they give it the upvote.
Have I just shown my face that I haven't went and voted for it yet?
Yes, you did. I'm a little disappointed.
As soon as
I read Moose and Toast. Come on now.
As soon as we close out, I'm going to.
All right.
It's well worth your time. And secretroommultimedia.com, if you go visit the blog section of our website, that's where we're going to do a blog entry for every new podcast we do. And that's where, if you want visual references, for example, the pictures of these comics and magazines that I had Antoine stop and look at while we were recording, you can go. We'll have them all there. We'll have the links to Rage Candy Bar, so you can find it all in one spot. And anything that we're talking about, Moose and Toast even, we'll just put it all in that article. And we're going to do that from now on. So we hope you take a look around. Peek at it. We're optimizing it for cell phones. It's not totally optimized, but it should work pretty smoothly on any interface. And yeah, you betcha. As soon as you leave, Antoine, Craig's coming over, and me and Craig are going to record an episode about Fargo Season 1. So if you guys are Fargoites, you might want to go check that out on Fair Enough Podcast. That's one of our side series, along with Fair Point Podcast. And coming soon, tomorrow night, I'm going to be recording with Andrew Spawn. You guys know him from a few episodes back, the MMO episode. He's the host of Amusement Sparks. He's invited me back, and we're going to be on his podcast imaginatively designing a retro Nickelodeon theme park. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while since you've been over, Antoine. Have you caught up with this Amusement Sparks yet?
No, I have not.
It's pretty cool. Andrew Spawn is a up-and-coming podcaster who reached out to us, and it's basically like a sim amusement park podcast where they make up an amusement park. Me and Craig did an episode about Batman. We made up a whole Gotham-themed amusement park. And now we're about to be getting our Nick on.
Oh, so are you gonna do what they're doing, erasing Ren and Stimpy from the annals of their history?
Are they? You should pronounce that word annals, because annals...
well... we all can't be perfect.
They're doing a colon cleanse?
Pretty much. I guess in the new Nicktoons reboot, Ren and Stimpy will not be making an appearance.
Interesting. They're all over all the merchandise that I've been seeing everywhere.
Yeah, they are, but I guess...
Yeah. They've always headed out for old John Kay.
Yeah. But if you actually look at some of his work, though, it's
obvious why.
It's obvious why.
It's Nickelodeon's fault for going to fucking John Cristofalusi and Jonan Vasquez to make children's programming. I'm glad you did, don't get me wrong. But, what did you expect?
You told them hey, here's, you got the green light to do whatever, and then they see the final product, they're like, ooh, who hired those guys to do this? That guy's fired.
Jordan Vasquez, but he does the what's the comic called, X-Men? No, he does Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Oh, yeah.
Did we
Bill,
mix up the files? What, did you want us to hire Stan Lee?
Oh boy, Bill, you're fired. Get out of here. Take Mary with you, because I know she signed the paperwork.
Hey, Antoine, it's been phenomenal. Thank you for coming by to talk about this bullshit.
Yes, it has been phenomenal. It's good to be back in the secret room, in all of its secretness. where I usually get black bagged and then roll down a tunnel of stairs, and then I'm right in front of you, and then we podcast and have fun, and then I get black bagged again and then dragged up the stairs while I'm repeatedly hitting my head on every step on the way up, and then I wake up with a fun cushion at home.
A fun cushion.
A fun cushion.
I like that. That's like that's the PokeGod phenomenon in a nutshell. If you could put it in one word, it was a fun cushion.
Maybe now that people now maybe that's gonna be a PokeGod now. Fun cushion. with headbutt.
How to give your Pokemon game a fun cushion. Catch Missing No, use a Game Shark, and listen to Silph Radio while you do it. From the Secret Room, I'm Nathan K.
I'm Antoine Baker.
And we'll talk to you next time. Enjoy your week, guys.
Enjoy.
Was that it? Was that all? Can I talk now?
You'd better start talking. We want answers.
Can you just loosen the ropes a little bit, man?
My God, this was a horrible idea. We should have just let the cops arrest them.
So, why again did you guys tie up this meth head?
Hey, I don't do meth.
Give him 5 years.
I'm not sure I like that you guys brought him into the secret room. What if he steals our mics? I'm not gonna steal your mics.
Then why don't you tell us what you know about the PokeGods?
Okay, fine. You want the truth? I'll tell you the truth. It was all me, all along.
What?
It was you. What do you mean it was you?
I made it all up. All of them. Except Missing No. He's real. Missing No is real?
In the games, Craig. In the games.
But why? Why do it? You don't even like Pokemon. Was it just for the lols?
I told you guys, man, these kids, they're a cash cow. At least they were. In the 90s, it was easy. If they didn't want a dime bag, they wanted Pokemon. But that well runs dry pretty quickly when you've got unlimited free time and only 150 Pokemon to catch. So I did what any self-loathing drug dealer would do. I seized upon the opportunity. I saw a hole, and I filled it. Wait. let me rephrase that. I saw a demand and I supplied. How do you make money off of fake codes and free GeoCities sites, though? Game Sharks, man. Game Sharks. I made up the entire thing to sell these kids Game Sharks, and they ate that shit up. In the 90s. Not anymore. The jig is up. You just can't sell these kids fake Pokemon anymore. All they want nowadays is Molly and unboxing videos.
Incredible. Who would have thought we'd actually solve the mystery of the PokeGods? Here on Silph Radio, this douchebag made them up all along.
I feel like he kind of just made that whole story up. Right here, right now.
Hide the meth head.
Oh, hello, officer. How may I help you?
Hey there. We're responding to a call about a creepy feller hanging around outside the middle school.
Right here. This the guy right here.
Dude.
Wait, did I give any impression whatsoever that I had your back? Was that what you thought?
I mean, no.
Well. If it isn't Scumbag Greg, we've been on this guy's tail for a while. You're going away for a long time, aren't you, Greg? Yeah.
What did he do?
Oh, real nasty stuff. He's been lurking around the middle schools, taking videos of the kids there, and selling them on the dark web. Anything for a buck. Huh, Scumbag Greg?
You can't knock the hustle.
Yes, you can. You can most certainly knock the hustle.
Thank goodness you guys stepped in. Otherwise, we might never have caught him. He's literally been parked right outside for a week. Well, you folks take it easy there, okay then? It's off to the big house for you, Scumbag Greg. You folks enjoy your evening, okay then? Hey, one last thing. There was this guy back in 98. A gentleman from Fargo, if my memory serves me.
Oh, great. It's story time.
And he would tell the greatest stories. I mean, these types of stories. You could use them, yeah? Like, in lieu of an appropriate response. You got something you want to say, you don't know quite how to say it, or heck, even what it is you want to say in the first place. He would tell a little story, an anecdote really, something unapologetically personal, or some obscure story from the Bible. Usually. But sometimes it was weird. Sometimes it was something else altogether.
Did he have a fanfiction.net account?
Oh, you betcha. The point is, and there is a point, the point is, sometimes what matters about a story isn't whether or not it's true. Sometimes what matters is that it's a story. Okay then, you folks enjoy your evening.
And a recording. Special thanks to the NSA for their cooperation in the production of this episode. This has been a work of satire, I reckon.